Welcome to a new video. In this video we will see the inverse of exponential functions. Let's take a look at the domain and the range first. A function is defined from a domain to the range. F is defined from all real numbers to positive real numbers. Suppose that we have such an exponential function, okay, f of x is equal to a to the power of x. And according to the definition of the function, we can give any value to the x. So x can be any real number. It might be positive real number or it might be negative real number. The outcome is going to be always a positive real number. Why? Because in such exponential functions, a is defined as a positive real number except 1. So, and because of that, if you take the power of any positive real number, the outcome is going to be a positive real number. That is why here f is defined from all real numbers to the positive real numbers. And now this is a regular function, okay? So the regular function is the exponential function. When it comes to take a look at the inverse of that exponential function, then we are looking at the situation in the reverse order. So it's going to be from positive real numbers to the real numbers. And that function is called a logarithm function. We will understand the situation in a better way once we look at the example that we have here. Suppose that we have a function like f of x is equal to 3 to the power of x. Always, that f of x is equal to y in general. So that's why I just put it here. And suppose that that function is again defined from r to r plus. In other words, from real numbers to the positive real numbers. And if we put negative 2 instead of x, okay, so because our function is f of x is 3 to the power of x, once we put negative 2 instead of x, then we're going to have 3 to the power of negative 2, right? So it's going to be 1 divided by 9. In other words, negative 2 is going to go to 1 divided by 9 in our case. And now when it comes to look at the situation in the reverse order, okay, so the function will be defined from r plus to r, and that is our function, which is the inverse function, and 1 divided by 9 is going to go to negative 2. Or we can say that it's already written here. F of negative 2 is 3 to the power of 2, right? Why? Because this is our function, which is 3 to the power of x, and the result is going to be equal to 1 divided by 9, of course. And when it comes to look at the situation in the reverse order, okay, so there is what we have. Logarithm of here, a is going to come over here, which is 3, okay. There is y actually, the outcome. That's why I put here in the red color, although this is x written here, there is actually a y value. So the result is 1 divided by 9, which is y, and the result is equal to negative 2. Actually, you can easily solve this by just using your previous knowledge that you have learned so far if you watch the previous videos. But let's take a look at how it is equal to negative 2. Logarithm of 1 divided by 9 in base 3 is 1 divided by 3 square base 3. And that is logarithm of 3 to the power of negative 2 in base 3. And that negative 2 is going to come up front, okay, in front of the logarithm. So it's going to be, okay, just let me continue here. Negative 2 times logarithm of 3 in base 3. And because that part is 1, so that is why the result is negative 2, guys. And let's take a look at some challenging questions. Here, we are given an exponential function as 3 to the power of x minus 2 plus 1. And in that case, what is the inverse function of that exponential function? Always in such questions, just equal the given expression to the y. So 3 to the power of x minus 2 plus 1 is y. And try to get that x value. Okay, all the time this is what we're gonna do. So just leave that expression alone first. How? Just send this 1 to the other side. So once you do it, we're gonna have 3 to the power of x minus 2 is y minus 1. For the people who don't know how I send this 1 to the other side, I recommend you to take a look at my previous videos about speed up your calculations video. So from here, whatever you see here as a base of that exponential function, which is 3 here, then take the logarithm of both sides in that base. Because we have 3 here, so I'm going to take the logarithm of both sides in base 3, okay. So the right side is, okay, just let me continue here. I'm going to write the question again. Logarithm of 3 to the power of x minus 2 in base 3, and the right side is logarithm of y minus 1 in base 3. And why I did that? Because that number is going to come to the front, in front of the logarithm. And from this, logarithm of 3 in base 3 is going to be equal to 1, of course. So x minus 2 times 1, which is x minus 2, okay, is going to be equal to logarithm of y minus 1 in base 3. Again, logarithm of y minus 1 in base 3. And just send this negative 2 to the other side to leave x alone. So x is going to be, guys, logarithm of y minus 1 in base 3 plus 2. Y, here it was negative 2, and now it becomes negative 2. And that is what we are looking for, guys. As a final step, just switch y with x value, and that is going to be what we are looking for, which is the inverse of the function. So f of negative 1x is logarithm of x minus 1 in base 3 plus 2, guys. So that is what we are looking for. Just let me write it here again. Logarithm of x minus 1 in base 3 plus 2 is the inverse function of that exponential function that is given at the beginning. And let's continue with the next question. In this question, again, we are asked to find the inverse function of that given exponential function. Again, as we did in the previous question, always equal the given expression to the y. So 5 to the power of 4 minus x plus 2 is equal to y, guys, and try to leave that x alone. So firstly, I need to get rid of that 2 on the left, so send it to the other side and change its sign. On the left it is positive 2, and it's gonna be negative 2, so 5 to the power of 4 minus x will be y minus 2. Because here we have 5 as a base of the exponential function, take the logarithm of 5 of both sides. So logarithm of base 5. Logarithm of 5 to the power of 4 minus x in base 5 is logarithm of y minus 2 in base 5. Because that number is the power of the number that we're trying to take the logarithm of, so that's gonna come in front of the logarithm, okay? From this part, we're gonna have 1. So 4 minus x times 1 is, of course, 4 minus x. This is gonna be logarithm of y minus 2 in base 5. And just send this 4 to the other side, okay? So negative x will be logarithm of y minus 2 in base 5 plus, here it was positive 4, and now it becomes negative 4. So it's gonna be minus 4. This is a negative x, but we are trying to look for positive x. So I need to multiply both sides by negative 1. What do I mean by both sides? Both sides of the equal sign, okay? So x will be 4 minus logarithm of y minus 2 in base 5. And now as a final step, just switch this y by x and make it f of negative 1, which is the inverse function. So inverse function is equal to 4 minus logarithm of x minus 2 in base 5. So that is the inverse function of the given exponential function, guys. And let's continue with the next question. Okay, guys, this is our final question in this video. In this video, again, I changed the question a little bit. In this case, we are asked to find the inverse function of f of 8. So again, I'm going to solve the question into 2 ways. The first way is our regular way that I showed you in our previous questions. Firstly, let's equal the given expression to the y. So it's going to be, we're going to have 3 to the power of x plus 1 minus 1 is y. Send this 1 to the right, so it's going to be 3 to the power of x plus 1 is y plus 1. Because we have 3 here, take the logarithm of both sides in base 3. Why? Because that number is going to come to the front, so we're gonna have x plus 1 times 1, which is x plus 1. This is equal to, guys, logarithm of y in base 3 plus 1. And now just send this 1 to the right. By the way, this y plus 1 is here, okay? Just send 1 to the right, and it's gonna be negative 1, of course. So x will be logarithm of y plus 1 in base 3 minus 1. That is what we have. So f of -1 of x is logarithm of x plus 1 in base 3 minus 1. And we are asked to find the value of 8 of the inverse function. So I need to put 8 instead of x here. F of -1 of 8 is equal to, guys, logarithm of 8 plus 1 in base 3 minus 1. 8 plus 1 is 9. So logarithm of in base 3, 9 is about 3 square, right? Minus 1. F of -1 of 8 is equal to, guys, that 2 is going to come in front of the logarithm. So it's going to be 2 times logarithm of 3 in base 3 is 1 minus 1 is 2 times 1 is 2 minus 1 is 1. So f of -1 of 8 is 1, guys. This is the results. So we found out that the result is 1. And now I'm going to show you the second way. Suppose that you forget how to do it in this way. And then what you can do, you can think the question in this way, guys. Here, the result has to be equal to, okay, 8, right? So whatever you put instead of x, the result is going to be equal to 8. So what is that x value? You need to think the question in this way. So if you put 1 instead of x here, okay, just let me write the question first. F of x is given to us as 3 to the power of x plus 1 minus 1, right? If you put 1 instead of x here, we're going to have f of 1 is 3 to the power of 1 plus 1, which is 2, right? Minus 1. So f of 1 is 3 squared is 9, 9 minus 1 is 8, of course. That is what we are looking for, actually. Because if you switch 1 by 8, or if you swap them, we're going to have inverse function. F of -1 of 8 will be 1. So you can think the question in this way as well, in the reverse order. Whatever you put instead of x, then that value has to give you the value of 8. So what is that x number? You can think the question in this way as well. I hope you like it. Thank you for watching, and hopefully see you in the upcoming videos.